אהלן.
שיעור ג' הדירה. שרה ויצחק גרים בקיבוץ. היום הם בחיפה.
זה חדר יפה מאוד.
יש פה חלון גדול, ויש הרבה אור. האם חם פה? לא, יש פה שמש רק בבוקר.
מה יש שם? שם יש חדר שינה. יש פה חדר אוכל? לא, אין פה חדר אוכל. אם כן, איפה אתם אוכלים? אנחנו אוכלים במטבח. זה מטבח קטן. יש מספיק מקום?
כן. אני יושבת פה. רותי ודני יושבים שם.
איפה אתה יושב, דוד?
אני יושב על יד רבקה.
בקיבוץ יש חדר אוכל גדול.
בקיבוץ יש הרבה חברים.
שיעור ג' הדירה. שרה ויצחק גרים בקיבוץ. היום הם בחיפה.
זה חדר יפה מאוד.
יש פה חלון גדול, ויש הרבה אור. האם חם פה? לא, יש פה שמש רק בבוקר.
מה יש שם? שם יש חדר שינה. יש פה חדר אוכל? לא, אין פה חדר אוכל. אם כן, איפה אתם אוכלים? אנחנו אוכלים במטבח. זה מטבח קטן. יש מספיק מקום?
כן. אני יושבת פה. רותי ודני יושבים שם.
איפה אתה יושב, דוד?
אני יושב על יד רבקה.
בקיבוץ יש חדר אוכל גדול.
בקיבוץ יש הרבה חברים.
שיעור ג' הדירה. שרה ויצחק גרים בקיבוץ. היום הם בחיפה.
זה חדר יפה מאוד.
יש פה חלון גדול. ויש הרבה אור. האם חם פה? לא, יש פה שמש רק בבוקר.
מה יש שם? שם יש חדר שינה. יש פה חדר אוכל? לא, אין פה חדר אוכל. אם כן, איפה אתם אוכלים? אנחנו אוכלים במטבח. זה מטבח קטן. יש מספיק מקום?
כן. אני יושבת פה. רותי ודני יושבים שם.
איפה אתה יושב, דוד?
אני יושב על יד רבקה.
בקיבוץ יש חדר אוכל גדול.
בקיבוץ יש הרבה חברים.
Well, I guess I should make a unit visitation report. My own unit, of course, is 30, 51. And every once in a while I go to an executive committee meeting and some of their meetings until the state office. They did bring the dates to two numbers to mention.
Chairman, just one second. I just wanted to report the fact that I had to attend my own unit 34 in Pascal regularly, and we have a very good turnout. We're getting along fine. It's pay our dues. Treasurer's report was very slim, and the reason was that we paid our state dues.
That brings us down to item 9, committee reports. 9A is the Executive and Insurance Committee. I'll take the Executive Committee part of it and see if we can find somebody else to make the Insurance Committee report. Under Executive Committee report, since you all have received the minutes of all Executive Committee meetings, I will not go into any detailed report except that I would like to announce that President Ward asked that I advise you that he has appointed Louis Lee chairman of the past president council consisting of Louis Lee, Henry Thornton, Frankie Murray, and Ernie Bailey to make a study on a reorganization program and to make recommendations on the future aims and goals for the association. I'd also like to report that Mr. Lee has accepted this committee chairmanship and will have a report for us on the committee's recommendations at our next board meeting. As far as anything else the executive committee has been involved in, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you. I said try. Gary?
One question, as I remember, when this suggestion was brought up, was it not defined in there that this committee should be formed of all past presidents?
That's a controversial subject. As I recall it, it was mentioned at two different executive committee reports, or executive committee meetings, and I'm just as confused as you are on it.
It is in the minutes of the executive committee that it was recognized as a committee of all past presidents, although it did not stipulate the state past presidents. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, well, might I help you explain that? You sure can. Okay.
So my way of thinking on this was that we wanted the last or the most recent presidents to be on the committee because they were more familiar with our problems and things that are going on.
I'm not, the reason I asked that, I'm not trying to bring up anybody's name in particular, but if this committee, as listed, should include all past presidents who are qualified or interested, somebody that might have suggestions could be on this committee.
I think we're talking about two different meetings here, Terry, perhaps. This committee that I just read to you was appointed by Troy, I don't think it's been more than 2 weeks ago. other questions? If not, I'd like to call on Jack McHugh for the insurance report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing on the insurance committee report, the first item that I have is a reading of the audit of the trust fund that was compiled by the firm of Miles Smith and Company of Fresno. I'll read the caption letter that goes with the schedule of the trust report. It's addressed to the Winter Insurance IGO Action Health Trust Account, Fresno, California. Gentlemen, we have made an examination of the IGO trust account for the period November 1, 1960 to January 31st, 1963. Quickly, that's a 3-year period. And herewith submit our findings as set out in the attached schedule. We do, however, wish to make the following comments. 1. The cash in the bank was confirmed by direct correspondence and was reconciled to the amount as set out in the attached schedule. 2. No attempt was made to confirm or verify the accounts receivable subscribers in the amount of $506.42 for the individual members. 3. The amount of $3,515.45 due from Winter Insurance was received and deposited on February 27, 1963, with a disbursement of $3,647.13 for administrative fees and other funds due Winter was made on February 28, 1963. The amount of $13,000 and $13,003.16 was disbursed on February 21st, 1963, and represents the net amount of the January 1963 premiums due the carrier less the adjustments and corrections for the prior period that is due to the Intercoast Life Insurance Company. Since the coverage was placed with another carrier effective February 1, 1963, we have been advised that the adjustments and corrections for prior periods are subject to verification by the carrier, and any differences will have to be reconciled and settled for before released by the carrier. With due consideration given to the above comments, particularly as to the accounts receivable and premiums due carrier, we are unable to express an opinion on the attached schedule. The two items referred to, Mr. Chairman, are accounts receivable, that is, premiums that were due and had not been paid as yet, and the reference to the adjustments with the carrier are referring to the fact that at this stage it was not yet possible to ascertain if the insurance carrier had completed their audit and felt if there was any funds due there. And attached to this letter is a schedule of the statement of the accounts dating back to November 1, 1960, and summed up. Thank you, Jack. A copy of this will be sent to the board members. The next item that I have to call to your attention, everybody has in front of them a copy of the data report on the IGO Trust Fund, which is reference to the participation. There are some more recent corrections that I have that I would like to comment on. The total participating garages is 419 garages. This is out of the total membership of the IGO. My more recent count, which was for the month of February, incidentally, this report is effective as of January 31st, 1963, the one that is printed here. The count in the month of February, we still had 419 garages. Total participating persons for the month of February was $793. The correction I have here for the month of February, that is, as of the billing the end of the month of February, we had 821 persons. In other words, we had the same number of garages 1 month later and a small increase in the number of persons involved. Boards breaking that down in the single with 1 dependent or with 2 or more dependent categories. The month of February count for A was 203, for B was 220, for C was 398. The experience on the IGO health plan is the next item listed there, and you'll notice that I have a report on the experience reading from my last report to you at the last Board of Directors meeting. At that time, all the carriers including the intercoast, had indicated they felt that the claims were going to climb substantially, which was why intercoast at that time requested a 17.5% rate increase. You will notice that they were substantially correct in that the paid premiums for that trade were $46,000 and the paid claims were $55,000. The total experience for the year, as of the monies paid in on accident and health only in life insurance, with paid premiums of $187,000 and the paid claims of $185,000, leaving a 0.9% over and above which, of course, they would apply what little there was, they applied labor costs. This is reflecting, I think, the correctness of the attitude of that the intercoast life insurance had at that time. Of course, our job was to take the given amount of dollars and to do the best that could possibly be done with those dollars. And I've noticed, if you recall, I submitted to the board members at the last board meeting an experience statement broken down by month, dating back to November 1, 1960. And you will recall that the experience there was equally as, I use the term bad, it's really not, it's not the proper term, but the experience was as high over that period of time as it is now. Stating in essence, what we're saying here is that if you pay $187,000 annually into a fund for whatever, or for anything, whatever, and you consistently receive back over 90% of that money, this is pretty good money in anybody's money. Incidentally, one side note that I have here is that on the accident and health claim forms with the new carrier, you will find that it is only necessary to use one small blue form. You might advise members if they ask you about it. It is not necessary to complete a form with the hospital now with the new carrier. An itemized bill from the hospital attached to this form, completed by the doctor, which in essence says what was wrong, is sufficient for the carrier's purposes of paying the claim. The next item that I have to report, Mr. Chairman, I have here a list of the garages that are participating in the IGO Accident Health Trust Fund with either their address or their location like Smith and Steve.
I'd like to point out for Jack's sake that this is the list we've been trying to get Mr. Winiger to. How long? Quite a while.
Longer than I remember. Thank you, Jack. The next item I would like to report on has to do with the solicitation effort that was made with the advent of the new carrier. This was something that was of concern to many members, and particularly the board members. The feeling being that with increased participation, perhaps the loss experience would not be as high. The solicitation was made. There was a substantial amount of money spent, I might add, and a substantial number of men. Now, the calls were made on non-participating garages. They were not made on garages who were currently participating in the program. Of these solicitors, in every instance but one, they were all old-time experienced insurance men. They all had a background of 10 years or more in the business, and most of them had a tremendous background in the group accident health field. So as a result, I feel that their comments or that their observations might be pertinent rather than something to be disregarded. And at any rate, the success they had amounted to 30 enrollment cards, period. Now, this was all over the state of California. So since this was my responsibility, that is the solicitation effort, it then, with the failure of sufficient enrollment, it then became my responsibility to attempt to analyze why there had only been 30 enrollment cards. And so I took the comments, and incidentally, on every call that was made, the solicitors noted down comments or observations on the report back in that regard, and I took these and I summed them up as best I could. And in essence, the reports came out like this. In over 20% of the calls that were made, the solicitors were told that there was no interest in the Action Health Plan because a particular garage was giving up membership in the IGO. In a little under 10% of the calls, the solicitors were told that the garage was no longer a member of the IGO by the simple expedient of not paying dues. That is, they may have still been on the roster, but they felt that by not paying their dues, they were no longer a member, and thus not eligible. And in one case, well, this was out in your area, one of my solicitors was requested to leave the premises by the simple expedient of a hammer. Well, I didn't want to note down the guy's name, so I looked at at any rate, in the cases where the solicitors were able to get comments, and they noted these comments, I took, and I think I have summed their comments backwardly. They were not able to get comments from everybody, of course. And the comments summed up, I think, would be something like this. The only thing I can get from the IGO is maybe cheaper insurance. Now, notice the word maybe. And if I add my dues to the premiums that I pay, I don't think it would be so cheap. Now, I think, of course, and then I went back over the list of where these comments were made, and I did a little checking around as best I could without getting anybody's head. And I think I found that these comments were made primarily by the members who had joined the IGO simply to buy insurance. That is, they had been encouraged to become a member of this organization for purposes of insurance. And secondly, that they were members who were prone not to attend your unit meetings. That is, they paid their dues if they did, so forth, and where to go with that. And the utilization of this tool, that is an insurance tool, I don't think is to be overemphasized in encouraging people to belong to an organization. It has been the experience of many, many firms dealing with association group cases that where insurance is simply the only motivation for belonging to an organization, that number one, the firm or member is prone to drop, number one, the insurance, and subsequently his membership in that organization in a relatively rapid period of time, a year or 2 years, that is, satisfaction sets in, and they quit. Now, in supporting these comments that I have just made, I have a letter that was sent to me, and it was sent to me unsolicited also, by a man that has been a group insurance salesman for over 18 years, who was one of these solicitors, and the letter ran like this: Dear God, I thought you might like to know the results of my solicitation of the IGO program, and then he mentions the area he was in. I think before any solicitation for an insurance program could succeed, the IGO must certainly improve their relations with their own members. Well, this was the fellow that was run out. But I'm sure he's been around the business long enough to know how to, must certainly improve their relations with their own members. There is much discontent because of the past insurance plan and very little interest in other doings in the IGO. These conditions certainly make it difficult for a successful enrollment and certainly make it a discouraging situation for any solicitation. And since he was being compensated for on success with selling efforts and not achieving it, he probably looked around and find out why not. And I shall return the material I have in there in future sincerely. So forth. I have some personal opinions that I would like to express now on the lack of success in the solicitation effort and on the public relations aspect of the insurance program in general. And then I will try, if I can, to tie this into how I think this insurance program is affecting the IGO personally. Number one, in the short time that I have been on the scene, I have become more and more convinced that there is bad public relations, definitely bad public relations about the insurance program. And this emanates dating back to the Kincaid episode. Apparently, this is a very difficult thing to live down or to forget. And the fact that there is a new group or a new firm or anything new, and Kincaid is no longer on the scene, and that situation has been rectified, it is a difficult thing for people to forget. They still remember this, and as a matter of fact, on a substantial number of the calls that were made, reference was made through this as to why they wanted nothing to do with this insurance program. Great. Now, as to the public relations aspect of the insurance program, there are several things. I think that, number one, undoubtedly, as with any business venture, mistakes have been made on the part of the counselor, that is your insurance counselor. And I know that, for example, that as with any billing situation, bills go out there in error. Or you have a clerk who is handling claims, and they advise somebody that their claim is not payable, or that it is payable, and they subsequently find out that it's not, and so forth. But this is something I think to be expected in any business, and these occasions really are not that strong. There is, though, a conversation aspect about the insurance program of the IGO that is being used throughout the state. And it is, in other words, the insurance program is being used as a whipping boy. And I think not only to the detriment of the insurance plan itself, but to the detriment of the IGO, more so even than the insurance plan. You start off with a small dissatisfaction. In my opinion, the insurance program of an organization should be considered as a small part of the program. And it's not the reason for existence of the IGO by any means. But you start off with a small satisfaction, and such as insurance. And insurance, to begin with, is not something that people approach with the best of attitudes, and they have good reason. The histories of the salesmanship efforts that insurance men have used over the years, the obnoxious methods of making calls on people at all hours of the day or night, and this sort of thing. The conversations with other people about how claims were not paid by some insurance company who was being. So these attitudes, even if they are not valid, exist. So by using something such as insurance and merely stirring it up a little bit, it doesn't take too much difficulty to get people all upset about something like this. Now, in trying to find a point, or several points, I have found the following things. Number one is that, first and foremost, in my opinion, the insurance program is being used as a whipping boy. Number two, I think the insurance program is not being supported even by some of the people to whom the membership look for leaders. I've overheard conversations many times to the effect that the insurance, well, you know, what that is, and so forth. And I want to submit a line of reasoning, which I hold to be valid because of my training. It works like this. You will notice on the experience report that I submitted that the annual premiums for last year was $187,000, and that the paid claims were $185,000. Now, I submit that if any unit or individual or person thinks that they can do better than that, they have a screw loose. It is a physical impossibility to make a better buy. It just can't be done. And this picture is, I mean, this experience picture has been consistent for 3 years. In the IGO News, the insurance column this month, I have indicated a line of reasoning which I think will help people to be able to analyze the accident health field in particular, or any insurance field, without having to say that I'm a Philadelphia lawyer or Pt.1 in order to know what is going on. And it's very simple. The individual accident health field is designed, and this is no matter where you go, what company or anything, it's designed to give back 55 cents on the dollar. Period. That's it. Now, there are variations from one company to another. You may find a company that gives back 52%, another one gives back 58%, and so forth. In the groups, as they become larger, let's say 5 to 9, for example, a firm with 5 to 9, the premiums are generally designed to give back 60 cents on the dollar. In what we call baby groups, this is firms with 10 to 25 employees, or associations of that size. They're designed to give back 69 cents on the dollar. Once in a while, you'll find a carrier will give back 71 cents on the dollar for the way the rates are worked out. Then, over and above 25 lives, as the group becomes larger, the permissible loss ratio, that is, the amount of money that is intended to go back to the buyers, is increased. In an extremely large trust fund, this say, a union negotiated trust fund, you will find permissible loss ratios of 94%. In other words, so much money is paid in, and 94% of it is intended to go back to the buyers. And the IGO, this particular contract has been designed with a permissible loss ratio of 84%. Now, I submit that if anybody, in talking to you about what do you think about this insurance program and so forth, is considering doing something else other than this particular trust fund, that they ask the question, what is the permissible loss ratio of the line that I am buying? And not get lost in down and not being able to see the forest because they're looking at a tree. A salesman says, now my plan does this. Or the salesman says, now my premium is only this. These things are actually meaningless. They're a good sales weapon, and that's all they are. The only thing that a member of the IGO can do, unless he is a member of another organization that has another group plan that is larger and has a higher permissible loss ratio than the IGO group plan, the only thing an individual can do is spend less money. It is a physical impossibility for him to make a better buy. All arguments in the insurance field are summed up. Everything, that is the interpretations of clauses and benefits and so forth, are all summed up when you look at how much goes back into the public or to the buyers. In this particular case, every argument about the IGO group plan is summed up when it says that 185,000 went back and 187,000 went in. Everything is summed up there. And because of this line of reasoning, I submit again that it is a physical impossibility for anybody to make a better buy. All they can do is spend less money. I think it's very well for anybody to stand up and say what is wrong or why people are doing something, but I also think it's important if you're going to do this sort of thing to have something to do about it. And in the last 2 months, I personally have developed a campaign which I hope will bear fruit. The first campaign that I started was switching the insurance column in the IGO News from a propaganda piece to an educational piece. And I hope you will encourage all the members to read it, because through that column I am trying to convey my line of questioning without saying that good old Joe collected $5,000 or something. That's salesmanship and that's propaganda. It doesn't mean anything. I'm trying to use it as an educational column. The second thing that I'm encouraging is joint unit meetings where I will be invited to explain not only the IGO program, but the whole field of healthcare, if I possibly can. That is the financing of health costs and so forth. And in these joint meetings, I am encouraging that the employees of the members be invited to these meetings, because this is where the questions come. The questions come from the employees to the employer, who then in turn around and to us. And you men are garage men, I am an insurance man. I don't think that anybody expects me to explain an automobile to one of our employees. By using this method, I have always been confident that knowledge is the greatest answer to any question that can be developed, or any dissatisfaction. Knowledge is the greatest thing. And also in personal conversations with members of the IGO, I try to convey this line of reasoning. That is as simple as 187,000 comes in, 185,000 goes back. And what more can you do? Now that's the only report that I have to make on the National Health Program and what I consider to be the public relations aspect of it. I do have one other suggestion that I would like to submit, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to submit this to you, to the Chairman of the Public Relations Committee. I think that it might be in order if the public relations effort of the Public Relations Committee set up a subdivision to direct the public relations activity internally as well as externally from the IGO. I consider it almost a crime that a small, insignificant point like insurance should be used to create dissatisfaction in the minds of members of the IGO. I personally think that it is such a problem that actually it should be done away with. I don't think that the organization can afford to have a from the reports that I have because it's being done. The next item that I have, Mr. Chairman, is reference to the Workmen's Compensation Insurance Program. Jack, would you mind waiting till after lunch to complete your report? Well, how long will it take? No, it'll be very quickly now. All right. And the reason that I would like to submit this report is because today's my boy's birthday, and I have promised him Disneyland. The next item on the report is the Workmen's Compensation Group Program. I have here a list of the garages that were participating in the IGO Group Workmen's Compensation Program and their premiums and their loss ratios. And attached to this is a check for $1,825.56 from the Fireman's Fund Insurance Company made out to the Independent Garage Owners Association. The next part of my report, I think, will be referred to board action later on today, and it probably refers to the letter to be submitted to the Workmen's Compensation Carrier for forwarding to the Bureau. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? That letter will be taken up at a later date.
Yeah, let's get it cleared up now. It'll take a minute. What do you want to say?
What I have to say. I don't have a copy of the letter here, Steve.
I do. Question arose as to the necessity for the inclusion in the letter of a guarantee by the IGO of the premiums which are paid by the participating members in the workmen's compensation policy. It has been our policy in the past to guarantee these payments. I questioned it at the time that Troy brought it to my attention and suggested that a further check be taken. A further check has been taken, and I find that there's no choice in the matter. The insurance code of the state of California in section 11656.6 states as follows: an insurer may issue a workman's compensation policy insuring an organization or association of employers as a group if such organization or association complies with the following conditions. And condition number 6 under that section is an agreement in writing duly executed guaranteeing the payment of the premiums of all members while insured under a group policy issued to the organization or association. A copy of the resolution of the governing board authorizing the execution of the agreement shall be filed, and so on and so forth. So it isn't a question of discretion or what we'd like to do. If we want the group policy for workmen's comp, we have no choice but to have the association guarantee it. I think that was the only bone of contention in that letter. I'd like to, before you leave, I want to see about that.
That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman, and I hold myself available for questions. Thank you, Jack.
Yes, there should be a motion if we're going to adopt the workmen's comp group policy with a resolution authorizing guaranteeing premiums.
Do I have a motion that we guarantee the payment of the premiums on our group policy, workmen's compensation? I so move, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Jerry. Motion's been made and seconded. We guarantee the payment of this policy for workmen's compensation insurance. Any discussion?
Just a question. Are we now carrying insurance for, is our agent carrying insurance for the members with this present moment?
Yes, we've been carrying it. Let's hope they just give us back this rebate on it here. Jack, Mr. Chairman, I might like to explain that the workmen's compensation rates for most of the garages are definitely set. In other words, they would be paying exactly the same premiums that they will be paying here. Without this condition, there would be no dividends. In other words, the billing costs of handling individual firms and so forth would reduce or would increase the administrative cost factor, and as a result, there would be no dividend. The
guaranteeing of the premiums is what allows the realization to actually come down.
One question. What is our obligation regarding payment of these premiums? Can we guarantee the payment? How much will we be obligated for, or how much would it cost us, or could it cost us before we get into it? Well, it hasn't cost us anything so far. The President has signed them every year since we've been carrying this policy. It's just like Steve explained, it has to be guaranteed by the group that is carrying the policy.
Mr. Chairman, I think the answer to the question is that it has been the practice that once a member participating under the group workers' compensation policy, he is billed. If his premium does not come forth, he is immediately canceled.
Any further discussion? Questions? Now, you've all heard the motion. Those in favor, signify by raising hands. Those opposed? Motion is carried. These return premiums go to the buyers, the shops, the buyers of the insurance. People put their money into it. So they better. I'll put their money in it.
I'd like to clarify something on that too as well. We can finish it off in just a second. That's also a point about which my opinion was asked and has given rise to some dissension, I understand. The President asked me whether that money went into our coffers or whether it went back to the individual members. I told him that I thought it was my recollection, that we had passed a resolution some time ago authorizing the retention of those funds by the association. This was in a telephone conversation. I didn't have time to check anything, and I asked him to check with Ann and see if her recollection was the same as mine. It wasn't, or it was to a degree. And since then, I reviewed the bylaws of the association and find that in Section 7 of Article 2, powers of the directors, special powers, the board of directors is specifically empowered to accept from the trustees of any insurance fund administered for the benefit of this organization any and all dividends and or rate benefits which may from time to time be accumulated by said trustees. The board of directors is further authorized to utilize the funds so obtained in their discretion for the benefit of the association. Now, this is what was in the back of my mind at the time the question arose. Whether or not this is money which comes to us from the trustee of an insurance fund or a group fund, I can't answer. And it seems to come directly from the company. Is that right, Jim?
Well, the check is drafted by the insurance company, but you will note that it's issued to the Independent Graduates Association.
Not to any trustee. Well, it's a very neat point. I think, however, since it isn't a question of funds being collected by a trustee, that it probably is relatable to the members who are participating in the plan.
It has been related to the members.
I wanted to clarify that point so I know the race.
As I understood it, Jack stated, though, that this money would not be available unless the IGO did guarantee payment of it. Therefore,
yes,
it would be IGO that would be entitled to this rather than the individuals, because they would not get this money.
It's a neat question.
The group plan and the group guaranteed it. Here's another fellow. Big man's got 15 employees, and he has a fairly high workman's comp rate. If there's any money to be rebated, do you think he's going to sit still and let the state keep it in their coffers? Well, no, the other thing is I was quoting that Jack said that they would not get that refund as an individual.
The members, I might add, just to point to that, if you wanted to rationalize the retention of the funds by the organization, the members, by subscribing to the bylaws of the association, when they join it, specifically authorize the retention of that due to this subsection 7. However, public relations may dictate otherwise, and we will have to vote, I think.
Any more questions? Okay.
Chairman, I have one comment and one question. I would like to commend Jack for his report because it's very good acceptance in cross language that I can understand. I thought I was real good. Also, one question I would like to direct to Jack. These new claim forms, are they being sent out or have they been sent out to the various secretaries? The method, since we were in the process this last month of transferring carriers, I don't believe any mail out to claim forms have gone except by request. Unit presidents have called or various other people have called and said, I need so many claim forms, and we have split them in envelopes. Should they be requested or will they be mailed to the unit? It's my intention, after I get the office of the president settled down, building and everything, that they'll do a mail out to all of the units with sufficient claim forms for that particular unit. So is that passing our job off to them?
Tom, here we wanted to make one real short statement before we
Put the stopwatch on it, 30 seconds. Gentlemen, we have a pending bill up in the legislature, copies of which we have. They're hot off the press. I just got through reading it myself coming over on the bus. That's how hot it is. It does pertain very definitely to each and every one of your businesses and mine. And it's a bill that we stumbled into up there. They have our wholehearted interest, let me say, was produced by and promulgated by the Consumers Council. Consumers Council is a little bit hard to explain. I won't try to explain it now. A little bit later. We'd like to pass these around now. And while we eat, or sometime before we get back here, if you read it over, what we want and have to have is some direction. The legislature is going on up there, whether we exist or not. And if we want some action this session, why, we want some little direction from you. So we'll pass them out, that's all right.
Sure, thank you.
May I supplement Boris's comment? This bill, in some fashion, will be introduced. We have the opportunity as garage owners to say what we do not like, what we like, what we want to amend.
It has not been introduced yet, but it will be, you see.
We called it before it got onto the floor.
We can kill it, I think, if we choose to, but I don't think we will, I don't know. But we can change it.
What does a big bill look like?
There'll be a slight recess for lunch. Until 1:30. 1:35.
So, onions then?
I'd like to announce the arrival of Paul Grossman, Henry Sorensen, Norm Prater. We'll have to excuse Rod Hale now. He has to leave for Bakersfield to finish completing some arrangements for the charter party tonight. Rod, thanks for coming. Next item on our agenda is item 9B, public relations. Thank you, Mr. Oh, excuse me just a minute, Love. How many of you will be staying for dinner? Dinner is set for 5:30.
We could spend a half hour with us.
We need more than that. Anybody else hungry? Anyone is a Russian?
Say that late. I have to leave a little early.
Steve? Or?
Thank you. Rob, you want to give your Public Relations Committee report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to, I hate to make this report, but some of my committeemen haven't reported to me of their meetings that they have attended. Although there are some of the committeemen here who have, some of them have reported to me personally. Our committee met on February 5th to work out arrangements for the custom car show at the PAS together with other committee suggestions for increasing the effectiveness of our program. We recently purchased 20,000 IGO key rings, which I will distribute for around so that I'll distribute a few of them around so that you might see what they look like. And the first distribution of these key rings was at the custom car show at the Great Western Exhibit Center. We distributed 5,000 of these key rings during the show and could have given them away many more. We were able to get a real nice custom car to exhibit through our member Bob Vogel paint body in San Gabriel. Incidentally, Bob and several other IGO members had done most of the work on customizing this 1957 Chevrolet Nomad. The car actually belonged to a customer of Bob's, Lyle Roderick of Alhambra. This show, held February 7th through 10th, was very successful, and in the opinion of the committeeman handling the exhibit and myself, we feel that it did a tremendous amount of good for IGO. We feel that IGO gained in two ways: more business for IGO shops and more new members. It was also felt that our display, car and materials, was representative of our standards, and a great deal of interest was shown both in the car and the accident pictures displayed. In addition to the key rings, we distributed 4,500 motorist guides, 3,500 litter bags, 4,500 what-to-do brochures, and 200 Meet the IGO brochures. There was no charge for the exhibit space for our car entry, which was arranged by Bob Forrestal of the advertising agency handling radio advertising. We are having a public relations display at the Pacific Automotive Show in Las Vegas next week, and Henry Sorensen, chairman of our industry relations committee, will tell you about this later in the day. The Travelers Insurance Committee is furnishing us with 1,500 copies of their annual highway safety booklet, and these will be mailed to the membership in April. Our overall public relations program has been well received, and we have a great deal of participation and interest throughout the state. I have presented the program at our Long Beach, San Pedro, Whittier, Stockton, Bakersfield, San Bernardino units. Our 63 rosters are in the process of being prepared. And to date, only 4 ads have been confirmed by many letters, but many letters of contacts have been made, and we feel sure we will have at least 20 sold within the next 30 days. It is hoped that the guides will be ready for distribution at our state convention. I am firmly convinced that our public relations program is one of the greatest things IGO has for its members. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call on one of our newer committeemen and ask him to report. Mr. Don Beatty from Whittier. Don?
It's kind of a real privilege to be here today. I've been on the PR committee now for just a few months, but I would certainly have to concur with what our insurance man told us earlier this morning. In his opinion, in my travels, I found that there's a lot of misunderstanding or lack of understanding of what IGO is and what it can mean to each of us as businessmen, and what it's doing for the units. And although most of my work has been devoted to encouraging the members of the units to get the PR material that will help them with their own customers, I think we need to work real hard on building the respect of our members for our organization and for their own businesses. In one of our meetings, it was interesting to find that a lot of the fellows wouldn't particularly care for their daughters, for instance, to marry mechanics. And so I think we have a real job to do in this area also. I feel that some of our units, through more intervisitation, probably can be helped. And I noticed some of the discussion this morning. I feel that if there was more understanding between units, more attempt at trying to understand each other, it might well be we could have a much smoother working organization.
Thank you, Dan. One other item that I just saw, had the privilege of seeing a few minutes ago, was a rubber stamp in color. I'd like to ask Tom Nelson if he would present it, pass the paperwork around on it that some of the members might take a look at.
Well, I received this in the mail yesterday. Has our emblem on it. So I went overboard and some of the stamps that he has made. I'll pass it around so that you can take a look at it. And he's applying for a patent here on this particular item. Each stamp and each pad go together. They're made individually, any size that you want, and at your own request. I don't know what the prices will be, because as I say, I just received this in the mail yesterday, and the fellow is now applying for a patent on it, and it will be available in the future, and then at that time I'll get together and maybe put out a mailing on it. I know that some of you will like it quite well, because the rubber stamp, which in the past has never been considered or thought of, in various colors.
Well, I'd like to ask one question, if I may. How are the plastic signs, lighted signs going in sales on those?
We have orders for 17, and in the making, there is a possibility that we will be putting out some of the 4x8 signs made on the same order. In fact, I'm taking my sign up to Bakersfield tonight, and I had Ann call Henry and get his permission to take it to the Pacific Automotive Show in Las Vegas, and Henry agreed. We have to run a little branch back.
Any other questions pertaining to public relations? Lou Dinger, will you give a report on the Ways and Means Committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are any directors here without a copy of the proposed budget for 63, 64? One of them. Joint meeting of the Ways and Means on the Executive Board met March the 5th, and they drafted this proposed budget in a rough form. And about a week later, the members of the committees received the proposed budget, and a motion was made at this particular meeting that the proposed budget be placed in front of the board after a review by the Ways and Means Committee. This morning at 9 o'clock, the Ways and Means Committee met here briefly to review the proposed budget. And the Ways and Means Committee makes a recommendation to the board that they refer this proposed budget back to the Ways and Means Committee for further study. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Lou. I can view the report on the proposed budget for 1963 and 64. I will refer it back to the Ways and Means Committee for further study, revision, whatever else is necessary. Frank McMurray, will you give us a report on that? Well, I'd like to announce the arrival of two more guests, Louis Lee and Dixie Nelson. I will have the field organization report. Frank McMurray.
As you know, we now have a field organization committee with me as chairman. As you know, most directors know. The committee is composed of Walt Berger, Louis Lee, McMullins, Henry Sorensen, and myself. We held a meeting on the 11th, and it was resolved that we change the name of the committee to Field Service Committee. The reason being that the organization covers only one phase of it. We felt that field service would cover all phases. We discussed at length what we thought would be the duties of the Field Service Committee. Number one was to promote the statewide growth of IGO by promoting the organizing of new units in areas that are desirable and the continued procurement of new members throughout the state. To The service, number 2, would be the service units with problems unrequested and is determined by this committee. 3, to see that units uphold the standards set by IGO by advising units that these standards is a condition for membership recruitment. 4, upon request of a unit, collect back dues for a unit that is falling by the wayside, with consideration being given to each individual case with no infringement on unit rights. Number 5, investigate any decided drops in memberships of a unit. 6, work with the unit executive secretaries on the promotion and furthering of IGO and coordinating activities with regard to membership drives. This we thought was roughly the duties of the field organization. Now this, of course, is presented to the executive committee for their approval, as any committee's reports and so on are. We have been recently furnishing all the board of directors with a field schedule where we schedule throughout the work. I think all the directors received that. It's available to anyone that would wish it. From now on March 18th through 22nd, Rob will be working in North Santa Barbara Unit 45 and San Luis Obispo. March 25th through April 5th, Bellflower Unit 9. April 8th through April 12th, Orange Coast Unit 29. Now, any unit that requires or requests or desires the help of the field service organization should send a letter to our state office requesting help, organization, or whatever phase it might be. And that will in turn be referred to the committee. The committee will make recommendations and contact the unit requesting the services. I think that's all of the report, Lauren, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Frank. Are there any questions pertaining to Frank's report to the organization?
Bob Olger?
I have one here asked by the Stockton unit, and they asked me to ask this question. Walt Berkshire Stockton knows what it is. They said that they had, on 2 or 3 occasions, had IGO representatives in their area to sign up new members. On all 3 occasions, the fellows come into town one day and left the following night, and no one knew they were there or did anything except Del Bozzoni. You know anything about this? They would like to have an answer.
I questioned our present field director, and he said that is untrue. Now, pertaining to any directors we have had in the past, I will have to go through the records and look up the report. I suspect to take a little time to find what days they were in the area so we can find out.
Well, according to procedure now, we allocate a certain amount of time to Rod's activities, being our sole field representative at the moment. And if his first duty is to contact the president when he goes to the unit. This is the protocol. Contact the president and go to the approved list where he lays out a routine, or sometimes the presidents go with him. He spends the entire allotted time there unless he calls on a complete prospecting list before the time. Then he notifies the president that this has been done, calls our office and asks for further orders or what he should do with his spare time, whether he should come back here or contact another unit that's requested in that area. Now, this is protocol that has been for some time. I'm a little off base on what happened before because I really don't remember any one person going up there spending the day and leaving. So without checking on when people were assigned that unit and when they left, I couldn't answer the question.
I think that probably would be a good